Ramblin' Ted here. I'm in Prescott, Arkansas, at the train station, the train depot. It's actually a museum. It's closed on Sundays. I was going to do this video yesterday, but I was kind of under the weather. And don't be too scared by my face. Got a few spots there that I had to have frozen off. Doctor said precancerous. Sounds kind of scary, but it's really not. I've worked most of my life in the sun, and like a lot of people in the South, and so I've got some places on my skin that I had to take care of. Anyway, we're here today to talk about a gentleman who passed away in 1911 and wasn't buried until 1975. So 64 years. We'll get into the story of old Mike. It's pretty interesting. Old Mike would have ridden into town on August 21st, 1911, just like he did about once a month. He was a traveling salesman who traveled here, and he would go around to the schools and the people and the different businesses here in Prescott and sell pens and stationery and stuff like that. He was well known in the area as a traveling salesman, but nobody knew his actual name. In fact, Mike's not even his real name as far as anybody knows. But he came in here in 1911 on the train like he did, the 3 p.m. He would stay overnight at a hotel downtown down there, and the next day he would leave. But on August 21st, 1911, he didn't leave. He never made it out of Prescott. Pretty nice caboose. Apologize if it's noisy. It's a little windy today. That's pretty cool. Pretty neat. I know when the museum's open, you can go inside this caboose, but I don't know if they've got it open today. Let's take a look. Might as well, huh? Nope. Got it locked up. But take a look inside the window. Maybe. Yeah. I could travel in there. Looks pretty comfortable, actually. On the day in question, Mike came into town, like I said, on this train at 3 p.m. He would have went down there, made a left, and there was a hotel down there that he stayed at every time he came to town, and then decided to go out and see what was going on, I guess, in the evening. And at City Park, which is over that way, he attended they were having a tent revival. And if you're not from the South, you don't know what a tent revival is. It's a big to-do, especially back in 1911. That would have been a big thing, and everybody in town was probably there. To this day, Prescott's only got a population of about, 3,500 maybe. I don't know that everybody in town would have been there, but for sure. But I'll bet a lot of people were there. It was a social event, and it was a revival, a chance to get yourself reset from the weariness of the world, I guess. And I guess maybe that's what old Mike was looking for. Maybe he was just looking to be around some people. By all accounts, he didn't really interact with anybody. They saw him there, but he didn't really talk to anybody. And at some point, he sat down by a tree. And we'll head over there in a minute. And can't find the exact tree, but I'll bet you I can find one that's close. Oh, here comes the train. Classic car alert. Oh yeah. Nice. crazy fins on that one. They cut off halfway down the fenders. That's kind of unique. I think my uncle had a car like that when I was a kid. Looks very familiar. Nice. Like I was saying, an average stay for Mike would have been one day. He would have stayed overnight on the 3 o'clock train. He would have left out the next day, heading south towards where I live, towards Texarkana. And he sold there too. He never caused any problems here in Prescott, as far as anybody knows. He was known here to most of the school teachers and stuff, because that's who he'd sell pens and stationery to. Didn't make a great living. I'm sure he wasn't rich, but he I don't know how to explain it. He lived his life. He lived probably the life he was wanting to live. He wasn't rich in monetary ways, I'm sure, but in a lot of ways he was rich, and he wasn't too dissimilar from what people like me do as far as traveling around and seeing the world a little bit, you know. Just a neat story. You'll get a little more of it here, and let's go over and see where that tent revival was. Okay, I'm at a place called City Park here in Prescott. Everything I found said that Mike, the tent revival that he attended, was between the old armory and the swimming pool. There's no swimming pool here anymore. I'm not sure where it was necessarily, but I believe this building in front of me, it looks like the old armory. It is definitely old, and it definitely looks like an armory. So maybe this place behind me could have been a swimming pool. There's a place over there that's concreted over that could have been it. But anyway, at some point that day, he sat down against an old oak tree, a large oak tree, and passed away, and wasn't found till the next morning. There's a couple different people that claim to have been the one that found him. Some people say city workers. Some people say it was a woman whose family owned a motel here. But somewhere around here, I do see some old oak trees over there, so that may be it. Hard telling. Tree behind me is a pine tree, so it's not that one for sure. Let me turn this camera around. There's what I am thinking. That's an armory for sure. That just looks like an old armory. This is just a parking lot, or like a gravel playground. That could have been a swimming pool because of the way it's elevated up to it. I'm almost betting there was a swimming pool here. Or down here's a swimming pool, and there are oak trees around this. But they said it was on the corner between the swimming pool and the armory, so it's hard telling. You know, things change a lot in 114 years or 113 years or whatever it's been. But there is a large oak tree right there. Yeah, there's a large oak tree there. Something here. I wonder if this could have been apparatus for the swimming pool back in the day. Kind of hard telling. But anywhere in this area could have been it. Several large oak trees. There's a big one over there that I would probably take a nap under, so could have been there. Anyway, he was taken from here to the corner, and they found like 87 cents in his pocket. He had his bag with his with the pencils and paper and stationery that he liked to that he sold, and that was about it. All of his worldly possessions. They went back and checked his hotel room, and there really wasn't much there, and no kind of identifying papers at all for him. Nothing. So without a whole lot to go on, they decided to take him to the funeral home here in town, who embalmed him, and they embalmed him extra well. Because they wanted to have him in there for a while and see if anybody came to collect him. So they put him out, I guess, in front of the funeral home for a while, and nobody came, and nobody came, and nobody came. Nobody claimed him. They're the ones. The funeral home director is the one that named him Old Mike, because nobody knew a name for him. They said he was about 5'5", 120, 130 pounds, possibly of Italian descent. I guess because they thought he looked Italian, and people said he did speak with a slight accent, like an Eastern European accent a little bit. remarkably good dental work on this guy, which they said was extremely expensive, and the only places they could think of that could have done that work would have been in New York or maybe in Europe. So that's a mystery in and of itself. But I'll take you over and I'll show you. Nobody claimed him. Nobody ever came by. So eventually they moved him from the front of the funeral home to a room in the back where you could go back there and look at him, and he became sort of a attraction in this town for 64 years. So, and finally, well, I'll tell you the rest in a minute. The state actually had to get involved. Let's head over there, and we're going to visit his grave and pay some respects to a guy who doesn't have a name. All right, I'm in the parking lot of the Cornish Funeral Home. I'm not sure if this is the original location where this funeral home was, but I know it was here. This is where they had him. They had put him in a closet kind of in the back of the funeral home. I'm not going to show a lot because there's not a lot to see here, but I will spin the camera around and show you the front of the building. It's just down the street from the cemetery that old Mike is buried in. So hang on just a second. This is the funeral home where they had old Mike for 63 years, I guess, 64 years, something like that. 64. It was 75 when he was buried. What happened, the main thing that happened is he became like a tourist attraction and a kind of a thing for all the kids in town to come see old Mike. It was like a rite of passage. You could ask the funeral home if you could go back there, and they would let you go back there and lead you to this door. And you'd open the door, and there'd be a curtain you had to pull back, and somebody had to reach in and turn a light on, a pull string light above his head, which apparently was, I don't know if I'd want to do that, to be honest with you, but there, old Mike would be standing up, and I'll put some pictures in here of old Mike. They used him for advertisements and things. It was a deal. But apparently somebody worked here in the 60s, and I'll get names wrong, so I'm not even going to say names, but whoever worked here didn't like the way old Mike was being treated and thought it was kind of awful. So he contacted the Attorney General of Arkansas at that time, and they issued a decree. And apparently there were two other bodies similar to Mike around Arkansas that they were doing the same thing with. So what they did is they issued a decree saying that they had to be buried. And the funeral home, begrudgingly, they didn't really want to bury him because he was kind of it was an institution by that point, But they did. They buried him. They had a funeral, and they only had I want to say 6 or 8 people there, funeral home employees basically, and they got him a small headstone and put him in the ground. And then years later, somebody, an anonymous person, got a nicer headstone and placed it there for old Mike. But I will. I'm gonna go to the cemetery there and visit old Mike's grave. I think I know where it is, based on the description I was given of where it's at. It's nothing fancy. But at least Mike, after 64 years, in 1975, finally got to lay to rest instead of standing up in a closet. So anyway, let's head over there right now. It's just down the road. There he is. There's where old Mike was finally put to rest. This is the original marker that was set here in 1975. And then I'm not sure when somebody came back and put this marker down, but I think it's really nice that they put a pencil there. Here you go, Mike. It's a bittersweet story for me. It's hard for me to. I always want to be respectful. I know it's an oddity and a roadside attraction kind of thing, but if you come here to see Mike's grave, be respectful. He was a human being who was making his living the best way he could in a rough time. They really tried hard to find out who Mike was. One guy said that he'd seen him in Little Rock in court with another man, and I can't remember the names. I will mess it up. But anyway, they tracked down the court records from that day, and They supposedly both of them were in for being drunk and disorderly. Well, the other guy wasn't. He was in for disturbing the peace, and then the other guy with him, and I can't remember his name. I'll see if I can find it and look it up. He was in for being drunk, and they think that might have been Mike, and he had a name, but they could never prove it. They could never track anything down. So yeah, he's just kind of here, but at least he's buried and not, standing up in a funeral home or propped up against a hearse as an advertisement. That's a little rough. Nothing against the funeral home. It was different times back then. People were not the same as they are now about things, and people didn't get nearly in as much of an uproar as they do now. But anyway, rest well, Mike. You're not forgotten. We might not know your name, but people know you. Stories like this are a little. They touch me. I've always considered myself kind of I have a vagabond heart. I like to travel. I like to see things, and I like to see the world, and I don't mind the. Sometimes it's a little inconvenient, but it doesn't bother me. I like the trip as much as the destination. Like, I could have taken Interstate 30 here today, but I hate the interstate, so I took Highway 67, which is known as the Rock and Roll Highway. And sure, it took a little longer, but you know what? It's a way better drive, way more pleasant, and I'm going to go back the same way. Stuff like this makes me reflect a little bit. I'm 57. I'm getting up there. I'm not a spring chicken anymore. I'm not a young guy. And one thing that I've learned: spend time with people you care about, and people you love, and just, I don't know, man. They're not always going to be here. Nothing's guaranteed. I've lost so many friends in my life. There's no guarantees. So if you care about a human being, spend time with that person. Let them know that you care about them. Don't anyway, don't make them. Just spend time with the people you love and do fun things, like stupid things. Go see the world's largest ball of twine, man. I mean, sure, it's dumb. You don't have to travel, and don't look at social media and think, oh man, I'm not in Dubai, or I'm not going to Paris, so my life sucks. Your life doesn't suck, and you can go visit old Mike here in Arkansas. There are countless things like this in the world that you can see, and they're not the typical things, and it's kind of neat. It's kind of interesting to just live a life that's a little more weird, man. Just be weird. I'm here for it. I'm here for weird. So anyway, this is it's a nice cemetery. Nice weather today too. It's like I don't know, 70 degrees maybe. It's really sweet out here right now. Anyway, like I always say, costs nothing to be nice to people. Costs very little to enjoy your life. Get out and see things you've never seen before. Get out of your neighborhood. Get out of your town. And I'm going to get out of the sun before I have to have more stuff burned off my face. Anyway, I love you guys. I'm glad you watch my videos. I appreciate it. A lot of y'all are new people. I look at the demographics and stuff, and a lot of you aren't subscribed. So go ahead and subscribe. I mean, I've made my limit to start getting monetized, so I'm making that big YouTube money. But anyway, maybe I'll make enough to pay for my gas for the trip here off this one. But I don't do it for money. I do it for love. I do it for the adventure and the fun. So you guys have a good life. Have a good day. Have a good weekend. Have a good week. Just have a good time, man. Have a good time. Till next time, I'm out of here.